So I had a spare couple of hours and my concentration span at the moment is that of a mosquito. So I just thought I'd play with something, and I started messing around and I thought you guys might like this. So I'm going to show you how to make the smallest of the 10-minute trays, and each one is made in exactly the same way. So I have my piece of faux leather that I've cut out. And this is just it's a fairly stable faux leather. It doesn't have too much stretch either way, and you do need to use a reasonable quality faux leather. You could use cork, you could use Craftex if you wanted to, something that's stable and that you can have raw edges. And we're going to construct this in a very similar way to the way we did our Nelly needle case. So I also have a piece of felt, and this is Cheap and Cheerful craft felt, and I've cut my piece of felt just a little bit bigger than my piece of faux leather, just because it's a lot easier to do that way. And I'm just going to add a little bit of 505 spray to the back of my faux leather. I'm going to do that out of the way so I don't spray it all over my pan. And then I'm going to place it onto that piece of felt, so that there's felt all around the outside, so that there's a bit around the outside. And then I'm going to stitch all of the way around the outside using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to do one stitch back at the beginning, and I'm going to go all the way around the outside of my faux leather. Now there are actually 4 of these trays, ranging from a little tiddly one, which is what I'm doing, to a bit bigger, and these literally are 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. They'd be absolutely fab for popping into a drawer to organise your drawers, to organise your little bits and bobs in your drawers. I'm sorry, for some reason the idea of me saying organising your drawers makes me think of your knickers, and I'm sure that's not what you need to do, and I'm pretty sure these would be uncomfortable if you were to put them in your undergarments. Just call it stress. So there we go, I've gone all the way around the outside. Now I can get rid of these extra threads that I've got. And then I'm just going to grab my pinking shears, and I'm going to, no, I'm not going to grab my pinking shears just yet. I'm going to grab my ordinary scissors. I apologise, I've got a bit carried away there. And I'm just going to trim off the excess felt around the outside. Now, because this is really stiff faux leather, I haven't added the extra little piece of Decaville that I've popped onto the pattern pieces. If your faux leather is a little bit softer and you want something with a really sturdy base, you can take that piece of Decaville and you can fix it centrally onto your faux leather, on the wrong side of your faux leather, before you start this. This is really sturdy faux leather, so I don't need any extra in this. So I'm quite happy that this is stable enough to do what I want it to do. So let me find my chalk pen. We've already established that this doesn't work terribly well on felt, but we're going to do it anyway. So from the long edge, and I'm going to do this on each edge, I'm going to make a mark that's 1.5 inches in from the edge. And I'm going to do the same on all 4 sides, which will give me a square in the middle, which is actually where your Decaville is going to be if you use the Decaville. These chalk markers do not really work very well on felt, I've discovered. But maybe this is the wrong colour to use. I've used yellow because that's what's on the outside and you possibly can't see it. I can actually see it relatively well on this. You do have to be kind of, just go backwards and forwards gently. Now, I think you can probably see there, I've created a square in the middle and I'm just going to stitch that square. You could do this on the faux leather side if you wanted to, rather than on the felt side, it's up to you. And one stitch backwards at the beginning, just to secure my stitching. Move it along a bit so that I've got right to the end of that corner, because I want this to be a nice square at the bottom. Now, if you use your pinking shears before you do this, then you won't get a nice square in the middle. And what you'll end up with is a 3-inch square stitched in the middle of your slightly curved shape. One stitch backwards at the beginning just to secure my threads, and I can rub off my chalk. So now you can see we have a square stitched in the middle. Now you're going to use your template. I'm not going to use my template because I know where these need to go, but if you use your template you can mark where these marks are on the edges. I'm sorry, my brain's gone to mush, completely gone to mush. And we're going 3/4 of an inch in from either of the sides that you want to go for. So I'm going to go there. Oops, a daisy. I'm going to go there. So you're going to mark all of the little dots that are on your pattern piece. If you use your template, then you'll be able to, I actually can do this by eye on this one because I've done these before and I kind of know where they're going to go. Now you can use your pinking shears, and what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way around the outside, trying to make sure that when we sort of do another cut, that we line up our triangles so that we get a nice continuous line of triangles, not a juddery line. This is just to give a finish, and we're just taking away the edges, just the same as we did with the Nelly needle case. And this just gives a you don't have to do it if you don't want to. If you haven't got any pinking shears, then don't do it. It's not the end of the world. My pinking shears are not terribly sharp. And just moving my blades along so that my triangles are a continuous line of triangles. So I'm kind of lining up that last triangle with the first triangle that I'm cutting on my next sort of swipe with the blade, shall we say. When you get towards the end where you started, you're going to have to be careful to try and line them up. So that you get that continuous line, and that looks pretty good to me. So now I have all my triangles all done. And I'm going to take my trusty hole cutters, and I'm just going to make a small hole where each of those little marks is that I made. Now you could use a hole punch on a press. You could use one of the hole punches that you use with a cutting board and a hammer. My holes are 1 millimetre wide because I don't want to make massive holes. We're going to pop rivets through here. If you wanted to use cam snaps, you could do. And if you use cam snaps, then you'll be able to unfold your little trays and store them flat. But I like to use rivets. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to fold that corner so that our two holes, so I've got one hole there and one hole there, are together. So you can see I've just stuck my awl through, and I'm going to pop a rivet through there. I'm going to do exactly the same in all four corners, and it will give us just a little tray. So I'm just going to go and grab my rivets. I can't do this on camera because if I do, then my camera jumps all over the place. You know how to set a rivet. I will add the rivet video to the pattern. And what you'll end up with is a little tray. And you're going to construct each one exactly the same. Now, if you wanted to do this with cam snaps, you would put the male and the female one on either side so that they just clip together on either corner. And if I just pop a clip on either corner, on all of the corners, you'll kind of get an idea. This isn't a new idea. These have been done before. I've seen them done in leather. But I thought I'd try and do something that was easy, quick, and info leather, because we haven't all got leather to play with. It's too expensive. And there we go. One little tray. Obviously, I've got clips on the corner. You've got 4 trays. This is the smallest one. This one is actually 3 inches by 3 inches. It's not massive, but it's big enough to put a few clips in, bits and bobs, whatever you want. Pretty cool, eh? Just a little tray. So I'm going to go and put my rivets in this. And that's just the smallest of 4.